It was defeat against Wycombe Wanderers, but the Stags were left wondering why, or indeed how. Despite another good display, those pesky Wycombe Wanderers managed to take all 3 points on my birthday. But the Stags were left wondering how they'd lost that game. Was it refereeing decisions? Was it the weird starting lineup and system with no left-sided players? And have the Stags got enough in their tank as the transfer window deadline looms with suspected striker injuries yet again? We're going to talk all about that and much, much more on tonight's show. So come and join us in the live feed and have your say on your team as we praise Great Scott, look back on Wycombe and look ahead to 4 very tasty fixtures indeed. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because this unnamed bear matters. We're going to be revealing the name of the blue bear later in the show. You've been voting for it all week long, and we'll reveal his name later on. I can tell you there are 2 front runners at the minute. What are they? Dave and Jordan Beckenbear. Jordan Beckenberry. So there's 2 names in the running. We'll find out what the answer is and what the full name is later in the show. You've just, I think, got enough time to head over to our Twitter and vote at MTFC Matters. First, though, let's delve into the show and say hello and good evening to 2 faces we've seen plenty of times before on the podcast. One man who is apparently written a quiz for us later on. We'll see if the random name generator brings that up. It's Clive Parkin. Evening, Clive.
Hi, Craig. Hello, everybody.
And let's say hello and good evening to the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr. Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Evening, Craig.
Is he in Jim's house?
You nipped round to Jim's, Al?
Oh, God. This is going to be good with a quiz.
I said good evening, everybody.
I know you were about 5 minutes behind
Why
us.
isn't it coming through?
Yeah, but you must be stood on your wire.
Well, I wouldn't know what to do about that because Jeanette's not here. So
Don't you worry, Alan. We'll look after
I'll
you.
go on.
You'll be absolutely fine now. Don't worry about it. We can take the long, silent, awkward pauses. It's absolutely fine. And to fill the gap and to play the part of Jim, Nick, Cam, and Nathan, that's going to take some doing. So we've put a call out there to the loving public of the Mansfield Matters world. And one person answered, and that person's Emily. Good evening.
Good evening, Craig. Hi, everybody.
I don't want to sound like Joel Dommett and the crowd of Mass Singer, but who are you?
I'm Emily, and I'm a bit of a crazy Stags fan, really, to be honest. 3rd generation. So my dad was brought up in Mansfield and took me to games from being a kid, and now I'm a season ticket holder and have my 13-year-old son really into it. So
Good for
great.
you.
Yeah. And if you're wondering why my accent is Stockportonian, it's because I live in Stockport.
That's all right. We don't mind Stockport.
You
I
are.
like eating them.
That's it, absolutely. It doesn't matter where you are as long as amber and blue is running through the blood. Right, we have to do a quick couple of tests to see if you can make it as a panellist on Mansfield Matters.
No.
Show you 2 images on screen, and all you've got to do is correctly identify each of the people with their correct name. If you pass the test, you get to stay for the show. If not, you're going to be on probation. So
I'll definitely be on probation unless it's something easy.
Well, I think it could be easy. I think if you're a listener to the podcast this season, you should know the answers to this. So let's start off with a nice, easy one, shall we? Can you identify this person?
Dave.
Correct. One out of 2. Halfway there. You've made it to the ad break. What about the second one, though? Let's see if we can correctly identify this. Here we go.
Uncle Quinny,
Oh,
Stephen.
do you know what?
In off the crossbar, Craig. In off the crossbar.
Oh, yeah, we'll be nice. Uncle Stephen is the correct answer to that.
Yeah.
You got the best one, right, which is great. Talking of that this week, by the way, I'm going to delve straight into this because we're on the subject of Dave. I don't know if you've seen this week, Clive, on the old YouTube and Facebook.
I did. The Fox pops outside the ticket office.
Yes, one particular fan was asked who the best player has been so far this season. This was the answer.
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best player of the season this season.
Now, I've got no idea who that guy is.
He's wonderful.
He's absolutely wonderful because he's picked up Dave, and that could have only have come, Alan Wilson, from one particular source, and that is by listening to the podcast, surely.
Yeah, I would have thought so, Craig. Andy came on when he said Dave. Quite fun because at first it sounded like he said DJ, and I thought,
Yeah, I was thinking Danny Johnson. Is the man mad?
Yeah, I know. I thought that at first, but then he came in with Dave, and it'll do for us.
I think it's very clear. The answer was
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best player of the season this season.
Now, if you know who that guy is, get in touch with us. Let us know because there's a podcast guest spot waiting for this guy. That is absolutely genius. Fair play. Right, let's delve into it. As always, if you want to have your say on your team, you are more than welcome to get involved in the live feed comments. Right, let's kick it right off then, shall we, with a reflection of Saturday's defeat at home to Wycombe Wanderers. A little bit unfair in the end to be walking away with absolutely nothing, Emily, weren't we?
Yeah, it was a bit gutting, really, wasn't it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, really frustrating game.
Yeah.
One of those where you just look at it and think, oh, when are we going to get a little bit of luck from the official shining day?
Yeah, it wasn't good, and I missed the penalty as well because I was buying hot chocolate at the time, and I always miss goals, both ends. I miss goals because I go and buy hot chocolate when the queue's quiet. So I missed the goal that was the penalty. So I missed the saved penalty. He saved that penalty. So people need to stop saying, "Oh, they scored on a penalty," because he saved the penalty. But yeah,
did you not hear the crowd?
Yeah, I heard the crowd go, "Yay!" And then
did you not hear the crowd singing 1-0 to the referee, 1-0 to the referee? Yes. He was a shocker.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It was, but unfortunately, Clive, that's the way that it seems to be going for us this season. But I don't know whether it's the fact of us not being able to put the ball in the back of the net again. It's similar to the Wigan game in the FA Cup. We had the chances, they were there, but it just didn't drop for us yet again.
Well, we certainly played well enough to win the game. Having said that, I thought they were a decent side, and I don't mind in the final equation losing if we lose to a side that's better than we are. We've had plenty of experiences of losing to teams that aren't worthy of the win, and in fact, we should have had a point down at their ground earlier in the season, and it was a sheer fluky goal that robbed us of a point there. We weren't worth a win, but we defended well enough to earn a point. But these things are going to happen, and quite honestly, it comes back to the old question of, are we happy where we are at the moment? And most sensible people are. And we know that we're going to lose games, sometimes because the best team won, and sometimes because the referee's an arsehole or whatever. But did you notice, by the way, when on his interview, the blood around Nigel Clough's mouth? In an interview, we normally talk about refereeing, he'd obviously bitten his tongue so much that there was blood coming out of his mouth. I know what he thinks about referees. He's not allowed to.
No, that's very, very true. Alan, it was a bit of a weird one on Saturday because formation-wise, we made a little bit of a tweak and a change, didn't we? We went back to the back four with the diamond for a short time. It was a weird flashback.
Yeah, it was, but I think it, to a certain extent, I think it worked because, like Clive alluded to, I thought we we were just as good as they were, but there were two. He put the penalty away because he was quick enough on the rebound. But it's just one of those things, Craig, isn't it? You win some, you lose some. Wycombe are a decent side. They're a good footballing side. They got 3 good attackers. So fair play to them in the end. But the officials, they sometimes, a lot of time, they're spoiling the game.
Difficult to know, isn't it, lads and lasses, that whether the officials are inept or whether they're being instructed to perform in a certain way. And therefore, that's the bit that spoils the game, the fact that they are told how to handle the situation for every game. And in practice, a good referee doesn't need to be told how to handle the situation. He will, like a player, will adapt to circumstances. And I don't see any evidence of that at our level. I think they come out like little robots, toeing the line. And I guess they have to, because they're being scored by somebody who reports back to their bosses. Anyway, rant over.
I don't think thing is, when you don't mention a referee, you know he's had a good game. But how many times have we said that this season?
I think we've seen one decent referee so far at the Mill this year, in my opinion.
I do like it's a fan's prerogative to moan about the referee, though. The problem, like we've said in previous podcasts, is that no referee is a former footballer, so they don't understand it from a player's perspective, which is sort of half of the battle, really. But that'll never change because of the way, the route it takes into refereeing. I remember James Perch talking about it, saying it takes something like 4 years to get into it. So, it's a different game by then. Let's go back to formations and the way we're lined up. We're lacking on the left-hand side, Emily, a little bit on Saturday, and that's perhaps down to the shape and formation. Nigel Clough didn't seem to give any real reasoning behind it, because if you look at the bench, both McLaughlin and Quinn was on there. We had defensive options in there to play the 5 as well.
And when Macca came on, he made a big difference, a real impact straight away. So it didn't make any sense as to why they were playing like that. And Macca's my favourite player, so I'm never gonna say anything bad about him, but he came on and made a huge impact down that left-hand side. So I don't understand why. It was very strange, the game on Saturday at the beginning. I found it very odd.
What didn't make sense to me, Clive, was the fact that after sort of 10 minutes, it was clear that the back four, the 4-4-2 diamond, wasn't working like it did only a year or so ago. Nigel Clough then looked to try and change it, and we ended up with like a pseudo left wing back in Aaron Lewis for a little bit, then Will Evans. Anybody that wanted to sort of stay on that side of the pitch for 2 seconds ended up at left wing back. I thought Scott Flinders thought he might play there for 2 minutes.
I think you've got to give Clough the credit here, because I think he was trying creatively to deal with their most striking attack. And if you don't change, you get what you deserve. And he did try and change the shape of the layout so that we got more cover where we needed it. And the problem we have, and it's always been the case, is that when a team comes to us that have got really quick, talented players, we struggle against them. Aye, we've got your friend on again. Okay.
Has to block these.
The scammers are here.
Yeah. Block them.
I've tried to get a date with them. Can't get one.
I'm going to hunt you down.
So, I think he was doing everything he could with what he got to try and make the shape of the team reflect better the way that they had to address the competition. And then he changed it again later on because of substitutions, which I thought were quite inspired, by the way. And it led directly to a goal.
Yeah,
we just needed a bit more luck, really, and a bit more mobility up front.
Which is a little bit of a concern, Alan, because in his sort of midweek press conference this week, he's alluded to Lee Gregory having a little bit of a knock to the knee yet again.
Yeah. It is a bit concerning that when you've got Reece Oates just coming back and you don't know how he's going to fare. He could be fine for next rest of the season, or there again he could pull up, after a couple of weeks. Who knows with Reece?
I don't believe we should be.
It's very.
Sorry,
no, it's hit and miss at the moment. But when you've got somebody like Gregory out, and Wayne's not getting the game time, for whatever reason, you look at Oates, because he put Oates and Gregory straight back in that time, didn't he? So we know his preferred partnership, which is Evans and Gregory. If one of them's not available, you've got to chop and change. And I think I thought Akins did well when he came on Saturday as well.
Yeah, well, he was playing rather more central when he came on than what he normally is asked to do. The thing is, I think it's dangerous for the club to have any great reliance on the recovery of Oates.
Yeah.
Because I can't see him ever being what he once was.
Yeah.
And I think he's perilously likely to get knocked back every time he comes on the pitch. That's a sad thing for me to say, because I like the lad intensely. And when we got him, he was a real star for us. But if we're not buying cover for him, then I'm being over pessimistic, because the coaching staff believe he's still able to perform. We'll have to wait and see.
Have a look
We've only got a couple of days left in the window anyway.
Doesn't look like he's going to buy anyone, does it? So,
which is a big concern. Really. Look at who his sort of his strike force is. We mentioned Ben Waine there. He played in the under-21s today against Preston. Didn't score. Don't think he played the full 90 minutes. He's clearly interested. And if you want even more proof in the pudding, not only did he bring Stephen McLaughlin on to play up front a few weeks ago in a defensive move. No, he played up front. He also then on Saturday against Wycombe decided to throw Aidan Flint up there rather than put a hungry striker on there. So why are we keeping him here? Why are we not just saying thank you very much for your service? We'll pay for your train back to Plymouth.
Yeah, I don't.
Plymouth and close the door.
I think there might be a reason for that somewhere along the line. Whatever reason, I don't know. Whether it's part of the deal, I don't know. But it just seems, sometimes it's surplus to requirements, or it seems to be. But it's a shame, because give the lad a chance.
I think he's had his chance, Al. I think he's done enough.
I think that's a bit condemning, Craig. I think we haven't seen anything of him to justify his preferential place in the team, but we're not talking about preferential places. We're talking about patchwork. So, quite honestly, if he's designed to be a striker, and that's where his footballing skills lay, and we're putting the groundsman in on it as a sub to play up front, we've got to, we really have to examine why he's still there. I mean, I take your point. The ideal thing would be to say go back to Plymouth, but I suspect they've closed the door behind him, and I think but we have to try him. I'd have tried him. I think I'd try him again in the next few weeks. And if he still doesn't find anything, then we know exactly where we stand. Hopefully by then, Reece Oates will be fit again, and Gregory's injections will be working. And it's just, I feel a bit sorry for Evans, because he needs a good partner. And once he's got a good partner, he plays well.
Yeah.
When he hasn't got a good partner, he works his socks off, but doesn't have any positive output from it.
His work rate is just unreal, isn't it? He tries so hard, and you kind of like feel sorry for the lad that the ball doesn't hit the back of the net when as much as it should. Really, he's. I
think you've got to remember, Emily, he's still quite raw.
Yeah.
He's been fast tracked into League One.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah,
and he's still learning his craft.
Yeah, I think he's great. I think he's really good, but I think he lacks confidence sometimes, and he tends to sort of argue with the referee and things, and you're just like, no, just keep calm.
And he gives away too many free kicks as well.
He does, yeah, he does. But he does also make some cracking, clean tackles. He does. He knows how to do it. It's just doesn't happen enough, really, does it?
Yeah.
What about Ben Quinn? Why aren't we putting him on? I know he's got this shoulder injury, but he has been playing, hasn't he, for the reserves?
Yeah, somebody mentioned him in the comments earlier on about I think Danny, who said think Ben Quinn needs the top of the diamond behind Evans and Gregory. Yeah, he did score. Ali scored in the reserves.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. It's an interesting quandary with Ben Quinn, because I don't know. He's young. He's definitely got something. A point to prove. When he has come on in the first team, he's been sort of hit and miss. Some games he's been really good, but that's against opposition perhaps who weren't at the strongest. But an option there. But he's also a young lad who's not played a lot of professional football. And for me, I think he's more of one that would be looking to develop and maybe get something out of in 2 seasons' time rather than here and now. But you never know. If you don't try them, you don't get it. The only thing I disagree with in the comment that came in, Al, was the position for him, because Danny mentioned he should get a chance in the top of the diamond behind Evans and Gregory. I don't think we suit that 4-4-2 diamond, not at League One level. We look a little bit shady with it we don't tend to get enough options down the left. And I think Ben Quinn would be much more beneficial in that in the system with 5 at the back, just to sort of give him a little bit of support and a little bit more space to roam.
Yeah, because he can play left. Is he left-footed, Ben Wayne? I think he isn't.
No, he's equally bad with both.
Yeah, can play more left-sided. So that way.
We're talking Ben Quinn, Al, not Ben Wayne.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was talking Ben Quinn. He is left-footed, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ben Wayne. Excuse me.
Oh, did I? Sorry, I apologise.
But Clive, I take it you were talking about Wayne.
A bit of both, really, I guess.
I meant Quinn. I know where you're
I
on about.
played a double Ben.
Nobody needs a double Ben.
Move on, Craig.
Oh, well, keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Richard says, Ben Wayne, not really good enough, in my opinion. Goes down way too easily. Not strong enough to hold up the ball. A couple of Plymouth players came onto the Stags Facebook page when he first came to us on loan and said he was lightweight. I think you probably mean fans, not players, but you never know. I get your point. Do we know when Rhys Oates' contract is up? Asked Andy. I thought they only had given him to the 31st of January in the summer when he was injured. I'm not sure. I thought it was more the end of this season, the way that Nigel Clough's been talking, Clive.
Yeah, my opinion is, my recall is he's signed for the whole season, which I think on many levels is very generous, I think.
They're really looking after him, aren't they? Yeah. Mm.
Well, we did the same with Kilgore, didn't we? I mean,
Yeah.
The club is commendable in that respect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not like me to commend the club, but there you go.
No, it's not actually. You all right tonight?
Oh, there's plenty of things I can criticise, but not that.
Okay. Come on to maybe criticism in a little bit. Going back to the Dave comment from earlier on, the guy who sits next to me at home games, says Richard, asked me the other week where I got Dave from. Had to explain it was from you lot. Keep it. I love the little smatterings of Dave. It's brilliant. Paul says the transfer deadline day is February the 3rd. That gives us a little bit longer. Not too much longer, though. It's a frustrating thing under Nigel Clough, though, isn't it, Emily? Because we sort of know what we come to expect now from him in the transfer window. Even though we know that probably Rhys Oates won't be available until mid-February. Lee Gregory could be 50-50 with a knee injury, and it only takes one whack for him to be out for the rest of the season. And Ben Wayne's not good enough in most people's opinion. Nigel Clough still won't open the door to somebody, will he? He's very happy with what he's got.
He's really happy with what he's got, isn't he? And he says that a lot. And it's the only thing really that, because in Clough we trust, and I really admire the man, but it's just sometimes I just wish he would be a bit more. I don't know, maybe try and persuade the Radfords to put their hands in the pocket a bit more. I just find that he's very happy with his squad, and his squad is really strong, but up front we have been lacking a little bit due to the injuries. I really think that we should have what my son calls a cam, a centre attacking midfielder. That would be really
Don't
good.
use the word cam.
No, it's what my son calls it. He's 13. He'll let him off.
Look, as soon as you mention the word cam, our viewer figures drop down.
But it's okay. I won't say it again, Clive. Don't worry. But it's kind of like that. At first I thought we really weren't missing old DKD. I think that's I shouldn't really be talking about him either. But I really feel like we need a player a little bit like him to have some pace up front, bit of creation. It would be nice.
I know Nigel Clough's intimating another lone player being brought in, Al, but we have a clue who that's going to be. I would imagine that's got to be a striker, hasn't it, Alan?
I would have thought so, and probably a Premiership youngster, maybe something like that. Somebody who they can get on board. But who knows? But I still think Nigel will come good before the end of the transfer window. That's just my opinion.
I mean,
you're right.
He does always pull something out of the bag, Clive. I mean, this is a man who once signed Richard Narty.
He did. And somebody from Stoke that played 1.5 games. What was his name? Forrester or something?
Yeah.
Will
I mean, the problem is in the early part of Nigel's reign, there was an awful lot of panic signing going on, understandably. And he was having to change the squad on the hoof as well. Now we've got a really decent squad. It's only about keeping it intact. And unfortunately, we've had like 2.5 seasons of having desperation at the back. Now we've got an abundance of riches in defensive players.
Yeah.
Midfield's a little bit, I think midfield's still one player light. And I think we've all just agreed that we could do with another striker. We've let the reserve striker that wasn't favoured go. And it's not for us to judge that. I like the lad, actually, but we never got to see much of him. So I just think we need a young, quick, hungry, something to prove, loanee. And not from Plymouth or Burton.
Chris in the comments has just said Louis Barry is available. He is, but he ain't coming to League One, is he? There's a reason he got recalled, and that's to go and play a level higher. That's what happens with teams, because
his wages would be ridiculous anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Andy says January signings are typically players not playing or not wanted. We may just end up with another. Clough is right, but got to be better than what we have in the building. Ben Wayne's an international footballer, by the way. Listen, I've seen Shane Smelts was an international footballer. Now there's one for you. That's a niche reference for old Mansfield fans. Nick would be loving that one. I've seen plenty of international footballers that weren't good at football. So Paul says George Williams and Callum McDonald will go out. I'm not quite sure about George Williams. We've had this discussion every single week on the podcast because of everything that's gone in the last month or so. But Callum McDonald, I think it's a case of who wants him and who knows what his wages is going to be. I mean, on paper, I feel sorry for the lad, Emily, because he's obviously got a promotion on his CV, but he didn't play a lot of football last year. He's not a lot of football previous to joining us. And all he's had to settle for this season is the oddment in reserve. So it would be a massive drop down the pecking order in terms of league levels if a club wanted to pick up Callum McDonald. That's no disrespect to him.
No, he's a good player, and he's seems like a nice lad as well. It just seems a shame that he's just always on the sidelines, not even on the bench. You know, you do see him sometimes at the club. I've seen him a couple of times, but he's just sort of left out. But I really feel like Williams would be a loss personally. I think he's fantastic.
There's something happening around Williams we're not privy to.
Yeah, he's great.
Whatever it is,
really good. But with McDonald, like you say, it's going to take someone who wants him, isn't it? And
Craig, you can help.
Be at League One.
Sorry, Emily. Craig's an authority on the squad allocations.
Yeah,
we don't have him. He doesn't have a squad number because we didn't have enough squad numbers for everybody we wanted. Is that right? Talking about Callum.
I was looking for Matthew Craig because this Craig ain't an authority on this.
Try and be one. So Callum Ferg, what's his name?
B Mac.
Yeah.
No.
I understood that he isn't he hasn't got a squad number because we ran out of squad numbers and he fell off the bottom.
Right.
Now,
So
when we moved Tom Nicol off, did that not create a vacancy on the squad numbers?
So you mean squad registration, not squad numbers? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I get confused with shirt numbers. I need to get it right before someone pops up in the comments going, he has got a squad number. It's 27, I think. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so yeah, when the first time round, our squad allocation was full because we couldn't get him in. We were one too many over in terms of outfield players or whatever. So he was the one that naturally missed out because he wanted to accommodate the likes of Maris, Oates, Kilgore, which obviously in hindsight we were all thinking they're not going to be available till January, but obviously we were all wrong. So he didn't get registered. The registration window is open. It will close, I believe, when the transfer window closes. Again, I could be wrong. With Tom Nichols going out, that did technically free one up, but the question will be whether or not Matthew Craig replaced Nichols, as Simon says, because of his age. Not quite sure the age rate. If you're under 21 before a certain date, then you don't need to be registered. If you're over 21 after that date, you do need to be registered. So I would assume that Matthew Craig replaced Nichols in terms of squad registration. However, if Clough is saying that one more could potentially come in, I may be wrong because they wouldn't be able to bring one in if there wasn't a registration place, or he might be knocking somebody out. He might be pushing somebody else out. He might well go, George Williams, we're going to deregister. We're going after him, but we're going to unregister him, or whoever that may be. So, in answer to your question, Clive, I haven't got a clue.
I just wonder because when Nichols went, wasn't he squad 20?
He was, yeah.
No, that was his shirt number, Al.
Yeah.
Well, shirt number 20, but
Yeah.
Matthew Craig's 24.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't
that
work on-
leaves 20, surely.
Can we move on
I
to a
don't
topic
think
we have a degree of understanding of?
No,
please?
it doesn't work like that.
doesn't work like that because we have got a number. We are
We've
missing.
got 44, so
Yeah. Under 21s don't count to the registration. I don't think if we get if we loan a youth player. So it depends on age and whatever. Nigel Clough will let us know, and there are plenty of smart people who understand the rules out there, the registration rules, who have got the time to read them and understand them, because they're in words and not pictures, who I'm sure will clarify all over the social media.
I've stopped panicking about things I don't understand because we're blessed at Mansfield Town with having several thousand experts on the terraces.
Absolutely correct. Right, let's move on and talk about something a little bit different. And that, Alan, is a massive surprise to the starting lineup on Saturday against Wycombe. And that was number 1, Scott Flinders.
Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, do you mean number 13?
Did you
Yeah,
say number 1 though at some point over the PAL? Did you
I
say
did, yeah.
number 1?
I was that used to saying number 1. Never thought about it, but we all make mistakes, Craig.
Yeah, but that's one of the last 2 games, Alan.
Yeah, well,
I've got
You got the goal time wrong the previous one, then you got a wrong player.
full of
five
Alan.
then, Craig.
This notebook is going to become a bestseller one day. Alan Wilsonisms. You know what it's going to be called? You know what it's going to be called? Exchange, the Alan Wilson story.
Alan, you're safe, mate. You've been doing it for so long at Mansfield Town. It would require a complete earthquake of significance for you to be dislodged.
You say,
definitely.
I've got this little feeling that against Northampton in that Friday night game, Alan's going to get fired for that game, and there's going to be an Irishman takeover.
Yeah, me too.
Bird whispers.
What Irishman?
Hello, right. Uncle Stephen has been exchanged for Stephen McLaughlin.
Right,
About,
we'll see. But Alan's been doing it so long that it would, quite honestly, it would be like murdering Bambi to get rid of him.
It's great. I will walk down the M1 naked if Alan Wilson gets fired. I'm that confident it will never happen. There you go. Right. Get back to Scott Shearer, please.
Scott Shearer.
Great bloke.
Put that down in the book, Craig, shall we?
Yeah. We're all at it. No, I thought, like Nigel said, you'd never have a problem using him, Craig. He's a cracking bloke, cracking professional, excellent goalkeeper. And I think he was just really unlucky, with the penalty save, and they were just quicker than we were. But very good player.
I think it was something like 600th career appearance, wasn't it, Clive? On
Yes, it's 600th. Yeah, he's been a good servant to a lot of clubs. Been a pain in our side on a number of occasions as well. I think about Exeter and somewhere else. He was
Cheltenham for a long time.
Kept us at bay for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But we're lucky to have 2 good goalkeepers. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And, I'm taking Pim was poorly, was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
The rumour was he'd been sold.
The rumour mill sat up, didn't it?
Did you not?
Off.
I heard from someone who sits next to me's next door neighbours, aunties, uncles, second cousin, third, 3 times removed, hairdressers, chiropodists, brothers, sisters, second wife, cousin, that Pim had been sold. Pim was actually going to be announced as manager of Wycombe and therefore couldn't play in the game.
Yeah.
No, it was poorly. He was poorly.
He was poorly. He had a bug. Apparently, he's fine now. So
it happens. Every now and again, we just need to wheel Scott Flinders out and give him an area. And every time you wheel him out, like the trusty soul that he is, he will do the job. He won't buckle under pressure. He'll all come in and have a great performance, which he did. Saves the penalty, did really, really well. Unlucky to concede 2 goals. and we should have had more from the game, and really did well for us. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but we didn't actually name a substitute goalkeeper on the bench. We've obviously Owen Mason, the third choice at Gateshead till the end of the season. He's doing really well there by all accounts. Anthony Nunes is the fourth choice, the young lad who always warms up with the keepers. He wasn't named on the bench. So who do we think, if Scott Flinders would have got injured or sent off, who do you think would have donned the gloves, Alan?
Do you think it could have been JB number 9?
JB1?
Trusty number 9.
He'd leap at the chance.
He would.
I have got
Probably taller than Pim as well.
Yeah, I've got authority that on the morning, on the way into the ground, Clough was just about to write out the team sheet with Nunes on the bench, and Jordan Bowery popped up to him, tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Gaffer, don't worry about naming a sub-goalkeeper. I've got this." And do you know what? He'd done a job. I don't know why it was, but for the last 5 minutes of the game, I know we were losing, but I was thinking, if Flinders went down, just stick him in there. Just give me 5 minutes. That was Jordan Bowery, every time he went up, there was a corner, was digging the elbow into Flinders just to try and get himself in goal. He's desperate for a game in there. Desperate for a game in there.
I'll tell you what, back in my day, we only had one substitute. It was never a goalkeeper, because that would be deemed a waste. And so when there was an injury to a goalkeeper, somebody put his shirt on. And I remember Kevin Bird being a goalkeeper a couple of times when we looked.
I can remember that.
Yeah. I mean, there must have been others as well, but I can't remember them. And in fact, I know I was speaking to Warnock some time ago. I'm dropping names, and he was saying he would always chance dropping a keeper if he felt he needed the creativity of his other subs.
No, he always.
The chances are you don't lose your keeper.
Yeah. Very fair. We've got a question that's coming from your dad, Emily, I think.
Oh, no, I can't see the chat, so it's disappeared.
Oh?
Yeah, so I don't know what's he asking. What's he asking?
I remember when Emily was 3.
That's just been put up here now. What about the Tottenham lad we got recently? Is he any good? What positions he play? And I'll leave that one to you.
To me?
Yeah, why not?
Well, he's a defender, isn't he? And he's Matty Craig. Is that his name? Matthew Craig?
Matthew Craig.
And gave a goal away on Saturday. I'm not going to talk about how he gave.
You mean what you're saying is he lost possession in the middle of the park and the rest of the defence didn't react quickly enough?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, this is very true, and thank you for your experience there, Clive. In
that's all I've got, Chuck.
In saying that, but that is very true. The other defenders didn't get back quick enough either. So, to be fair, he lost possession. But I didn't see him. He was playing at the. Did he play? At the Wigan game, he was started, didn't he, against Wigan?
Yeah.
We didn't go to the Wigan game.
Oh.
It was the first time I think we've missed a home game this season. But we didn't go to the Wigan game because they changed it to the Tuesday and I couldn't go because of work. So I didn't see him then. So I think I only got to see him against Wycombe when he came on. And obviously I was kind of I'm reserving judgment for now. Reserving judgment. He's supposed to be very good, isn't he? So that's what I've heard, is that he's very good. Why did he come back from Barnsley? What was that all about?
He wasn't playing. He wasn't getting the game time.
Was he not? I thought he was, but so I must be wrong.
He started getting game time when he first signed, but
he
was on the bench.
I think he played again when we played him on the opening day.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, they've recorded him and fortunately sent him to us. I like the look of him. I think he's quite combative. I think he'll be very similar to Lewis Reed, Alan. I think he'll be in that sort of position, and I'd play them together, to be honest.
It looks like a football.
I said that the other day. I said you can play them together because he tends to get a little bit further forward. We can have Reedy spraying the 40, 50-yard passes, which he does, and he does to a plumb. And we can also have Craig a bit further up. It reminds me a little, this tough, tenacious tackling. Reminds me a bit of Ollie Clark.
Yeah.
Ollie Clark.
It does.
Don't say that too loudly in front of Nathan because he'll want to throw him off a cliff.
Ollie Clark had got a lot more experience, though, Alan, hadn't he? That was the thing.
Well, yeah. But
and he was more physically adept. This lad's got some growing into to do, hasn't he?
I think it's a good comparison, though, because, we've been talking on this podcast, as you'll be well aware, Emily, for the last sort of 6 months since Ollie Clark's departure, saying we need to replace Ollie Clark. And, it's probably the right
stuck
one.
in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good for Reid to have a like for like as well, because he does play so many minutes, doesn't he? And he works so hard. It's good for him to have somebody to come on and feel like it's a like for like substitution as well as playing them together. That's another option as well, isn't it?
Certainly is. I'm looking at going about him name, because that means people will be technically singing my name. No, let's move on. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Anything you want to talk about Mansfield Town-wise, we will drop it in before the end of the show. We'll have a little look ahead to upcoming fixtures, etc., etc. And we'll also look ahead to podcast predictions as well. We've got some interesting games coming up, especially against the sides lower down. Obviously, a bit of news elsewhere in the league this week, Al. See, Nigel Clough's name got mentioned as a long shot for the Bolton job. Very, very funny.
Yeah. He won't be going anywhere near there.
Absolutely. Chris has asked, who would you leave out if Craig partnered Reid? Clive, who would your choice be if Craig and Reid were in the same side together?
Who would I leave out? Pim.
7 outfielders, just chuck barriers.
Yeah. No, I don't know really. I think it'd be an interesting pairing, so it'd be worth experimenting. I suppose Maris is the one that's likely to get nudged away. But then you lose that Maris brings, don't you? It's a difficult one.
Do you think?
Lewis is playing well. I wouldn't want to see Lewis dispossessed.
No.
I didn't quite catch what you said there. What was your thoughts on Maris?
Well, I was agreeing with about Lewis very much, that Lewis has just been he's just been brilliant this season. But Maris, I think he started this season. Obviously, he had his injury, didn't he? So he didn't start until a bit later on. But I feel like he didn't have a great start and he looked a bit weak. But I thought he had a really good game on Saturday. I thought he did some good stuff. I was quite impressed with him. He was being very terrier-like, and
like Huddersfield Town player.
What's that? No, not a Huddersfield Terrier, a dog terrier, running after the ball. He would just seem to want the ball, and I enjoyed watching him on Saturday. I thought he was playing really, really well. I thought he had a really good game. So it's a tricky one with Maris though, because he's a bit up and down, isn't he? His consistency isn't as good as some of the other players.
He's not the player he was at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll get back to where he once was. But I agree with you, Emily. I think he seems to lack a little bit of stamina at the moment.
Yeah.
Now big George Maris in the big George Maris box is Alan Wilson, or Giorgio Mauricio, who's been desperate to but ever since podcast, Alan not scored.
No.
Is it the bar? He's had a couple of close shaves. I said to him the other day, when he was going up for his interview, when he wasn't playing, I said, you were close other week to it, and he just started laughing. But I would put Maris in there every time, personally.
You see, in the midfield group, we've got a couple of fringy players, haven't we? We've got our friend Hiram, that when he's on form, he's as good as anybody we've got. He gets sent off. And then other occasions, he comes on and he's anonymous. It's a real tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah. He was good on Saturday as well, wasn't he?
I thought he was.
He was great. Yeah. So,
there's Bacchus as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is he? He was poorly, was he, at the weekend?
It was off Saturday.
Yeah, the interesting one with as well, you've also got to take into consideration people's personal lives as well. And when you're a group of footballers, Bacchus has just had a young baby, very young baby, about a month old, if even. Yeah. And when you're around a newborn, if you've got picking up a bit of an illness and things like that, you don't want to risk anything, do you? So, and we've got the personnel to cope with it. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one with him. But again, when he's available, he can blow hot and cold. He's a lot like Maris in the sense, Alan, that he needs 2 or 3 consistent games to get himself going. But once he starts getting going and getting that momentum built up, it becomes a handful.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's like we said about Boateng, like Simon's just said, when Boateng's on form, cracking left-sided player, and it's nice to have those options, whether it's Reed, Maris, Craig, Lewis, Bacchus. You've got, a multitude of players there. And Maris can actually play in the number 10 role, couldn't he? Just behind Gregory and Evans if they start.
Yeah.
Andy's played Maris up front at the side before now.
Yeah.
Certainly has. Both played well for us this season, says Simon. And Richard says, Maris had a very good second half against Wycombe, and he's my favourite player, so leave him alone. Start of the season, and he's just now getting up to speed. Absolutely. I think that's a good player for us. He just needs game times. But the problem with that midfield is we've just got too many cooks in the kitchen. Right, keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. We'll talk lots more about all things Mansfield Town, etc. We'll have a little look ahead to the games which are coming up over the next couple of weeks or so. But first, we need to do a little bit of a break. So we'll be right back after these. You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us this evening and having your say on your team. You've got plenty more time to do that as well and get involved in the comments. Like Simon has done, who asked any update on the Bishop Street stand. They're clearly making progress with it, Clive. I imagine there'll be another Sid Pepper video. He likes to do them once every couple of months, doesn't he? Yeah,
Sid's itching to get his steel in there, isn't he? Because that's his expertise. But I visited the ground, picked my tickets up in the week, and as I'm a nosy old sod, I had to walk around there and had a look. They're doing a lot of work that you can't see. It's underground because that's where the toilets are. Until they're done, he can't put the steels up to put the concrete terrace slabs on, and then when they're done, it'll fly off because he'll throw some sheeting up the back and the sides, put a new roof on it. Seats going in a week. It'll be done by the end of the season.
Do you think fans will be in there by the end of the season?
I thought so at one point. I can't see the point in rushing now.
It's an interesting.
If they do get in before the end of the season, I know a number of people would like to go over there. So
yeah, it's whether or not they do. I don't see it being a season tickets. Maybe it might be next season. I see that being the sort of stand, Alan, which is going to be the old last minute ticket sort of
the overflow.
The overflow sort of thing. We clearly need, because there's still a clamour for tickets every single week. We're selling out our home games. We need to add that capacity, but it's whether or not the Bishop Street stand and the capacity that it will add on will be enough for us, or whether it's step one of a bigger plan.
Well, it's the stage one, isn't it? Stage two is to extend it down to where the end of the keep fit places, and then step three is the pods on top. But if we can get it done, and I'm sure Sid will be trying his utmost to get it done before the end of the season, so we can have a few games to try it out.
I'm gonna be honest. I think that whole 3-phase plan now, Emily, is probably going to be ripped out the window. I think what we will do is we'll get seats in it as it is. We'll get a food facility on there in that space in front of the gym, and that'll be it. And Sid will probably look to find some other space elsewhere. I think it'll probably be too much trouble, because I think if you start extending it, you've got to close it again. So it's stick to one half dozen of the other, isn't it?
Yeah, could be through the corners possibly.
Yeah,
I don't know, Craig, because all the work that's required to be done to build the extensions having to be done anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're doing all the groundwork and reversing away back down towards Mezza's hut. And so I think the preparation's there, ready to throw steels up in double quick time. So, which you couldn't do on the existing stand, because the stand the groundwork under that supports the existing stand did not comply with modern building requirements. So you could argue they should have known that before. But Mansfield Town don't do things perfectly. They've stumbled through this, and they'll stumble through it, and we'll end up with a stand And it's got to be better than all those bloody advertising hoardings we had on there for so many years.
Oh yeah, it looked awful, didn't they?
Highlight last game was the guy who kicked the ball out of play onto the stand roof and it went down through the smallest hole. We'd given that a 25-point score. The big hole where the gantry had been, that's only 10 points.
Can you remember when there was a hole in the roof the first time round and it was a sponsored thing?
Yes.
No, can't remember it.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that. What did they do?
Go on, Al. You're reminded.
It was just a big square hole in the middle. And every time the ball went in, it went through. It did either somebody sponsored it, they got so much money or whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think it went through once.
Yeah, it was.
There was like a little square hole.
Anyway, if you want the
Bishop
final
Street.
view on the extension to Bishop Street, I think it will go ahead while we're still in this league. I don't think phase 3 will happen unless we move forward.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, you're okay. Yeah.
Coming in, have your say on your team. Anything you want to say, please do let us know. How will they allocate Bishop Street seats? Any announcements about that? It will be a home end. That's
We know that.
be 700 to 800 extra seats, and it'll be entrance from Mezza's Hut side. Be a one-way system underneath for the toilets, which Sid's already explained because of the size and everything down there. And that'll be it. So it will add some capacity to us, but it will definitely be for home fans, which is a massive shame. But I understand it because the police and SAG like to have the away fans coming from the north stand corner, and apparently it's just not feasible with the big scoreboard there, etc., etc. So, yeah, we will see what happens on that one. Right, let's turn our attention to upcoming fixtures then, because despite defeats against Wycombe on Saturday, a side at the top end of the table, you look at our next few fixtures, Emily, and we've got some games coming up now against the teams at the bottom of the league. In fact, our next 3 fixtures are all against sides currently in the bottom 4. Cambridge currently bottom of the league, Crawley down there as well, and Shrewsbury, albeit the latter under a bit of a resurgence at the moment under Gareth Ainsworth. These are the game, though, that you'd be expecting. If you looked at it on paper, you'd be thinking, surely there's 9 points for the taking there, isn't there?
Yeah, okay. And I'm not worried about Cambridge and Crawley. I think we'll do get the 3 points. I'm a bit tentative about Shrewsbury, like you say, having a bit of a resurgence, and confidence is up at Shrewsbury. So I'm not convinced that we'll do one over on them, but I will be there. So I'm hoping we do, because I love away games. So yeah, it's an interesting few set of fixtures. I think Cambridge is going to be interesting as well, just purely because we started with some of these teams, didn't we? So we're going into our second games with a lot of these teams now, and I always think that's interesting to see, where you've moved through the season. Are you in the same position you were at? Are they in the same position they were at when you played them the first time round? So it's going to be interesting.
Nigel Clough never lets us look too far ahead, Clive. It's always one can, but these are going to be the harder games now, because this is the period the likes of Cambridge, Crawley are going to be scrapping for the lives. Of course, Crawley will want to prove something against us, but also, they'll want to get a strong foothold going into the second half of the season. They won't want to go straight back down.
No, and they were everybody's favourites to go down. Well, we were as well, for that matter. But they found a little bit of form. They're working hard. I don't think they've got the squad quality to compete with Mansfield on their day.
They've certainly not, but I guess it's that point of the season now as well, Alan, where we start to think about whether or not we're being a little bit too arrogant with it, because we're in a great position, 4 points off the playoffs. And, if this were this time last year, we'd be looking at these next 3 games going, we have to get 9 points because it will really propel our promotion charge. We're not bothered about that in the slightest, but there's still that little bit of desire there to go and make sure we get what we need to get out of these games, because essentially we win all these 3 games and that pretty much secures safety for us, doesn't it?
And I think that's what he'll be, making sure the player. I know the players will be aware of it anyway, but it'll just be reaffirming that fact that, get 9, 7 points out of the next 3 games, which will be a good return. And we're, 3/4 of the way there to being safe. We might not need 50 in the end, who knows? Chris, the sooner we get to 50, the better.
Chris says, I think these 4 games are cup finals. Take them easy at our peril. Of course, Northampton's the other game after that, and they're just outside the bottom 4 at the moment. Andy says 9 points aren't there for the taking. All these games will be tight affairs like what we've had so far. Lots of games settled by the odd goal. No way are they gimmies. And I think what you also have to take into consideration within that, Emily, as well, is whether or not we've got the personnel available for them. Because Lee Gregory's missing. We saw earlier, didn't we, in December? We struggled without his presence.
We did. And what we need is the game we had at Wigan away was my favourite game of the whole season. I absolutely loved it, and it just proved that we can do things. We can play really, really well, and we can score goals without Gregory. And it's not that I want to be without Gregory. I think he's a fantastic player, and he scores a lot of goals, and that's what we need. But we have proven we can do it without him as well. So, Wigan are a good side, as they proved last week, and we managed to beat them fair and square. I'd like to think that Nigel will put out the right squad. That's what I'd like to think.
We've got nothing but hope. We're going to come on to podcast predictions in just a minute. However, we've nearly reached the hour mark in the show, and earlier on we gave you a bit of a test to see whether or not you could stay the distance on the podcast. You answered this one correctly because this person is
Dave.
But the second one you answered incorrectly, so we'll give you another chance. Who is this, please?
Uncle Stephen.
Correct. Right, you can stay for the rest of the show then. Also, if anyone...
Sorry, I called him Uncle Quinny. I do apologise.
We'll let you off. Clearly, the influence of the podcast is rubbing off. If anyone's seen this guy, please let us know who he is.
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best player of the season this season.
We need to find who that is.
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the person interviewing knows about the Dave name. If he doesn't, he's probably wondering what on earth he's on about.
I don't know, because if it was Steve, I imagine he might do, because I know he does watch it occasionally to the podcast. And I think when I watched it a couple of times and listened to the audio, I heard a little bit of an audible chuckle when he said Dave. So maybe we'll don't know. We'll wait and see. Right, let's do this, shall we? So can you be the master or an embarrassing disaster? In this guessing game, there's a simple aim. It's outguess the rest and be the best. Win, lose or draw. Do you know the score? Who will be your hero to make sure you don't score 0? Yes, it may be fiction, but this is Podcast Predictions. Right, it's update time. I'm going to give honourable shout-outs. If you've got an honourable shout-out here, you've not made it to the top 10. So let's see who's just outside the top 10, shall we? Let's kick off with an honourable mention to Phil, who's the only player on minus points so far, minus 5 points. Then we've got Frank Everington, Matt Webb, Dan B, Wonderwally 13, Robbie NTFC, Johnny Rotten, Canny Warsop, Tim Taylor, James Dixon, Lee Nichols, Liam Marriott, Steve Kemp, Batman, Steve Edwards, Michael Gillett, Jimmy F13, Stuart Morrell, Wonderwally 68, Dave S, Wonderwally 5, Joe Dolman, Andy Branson, Wonderwally 8, Neil Dawson, Nathan Edge, Tim Phillips, STGER Mansfield, Tank, Daniel Green, Matt Green, not that one, Tom Parry, Denny Sims, Charlie Rafferty, Jason Witham, Jay Clark Susan, Ben Allen, The Gates, Gabby Abeson, Archie, Sam Pateman, Steve York, Kerry Crump, Matt W, Cam Felton, Nick Welsh, Limbo 74, Wes, Ryan JC, Adam Crump, Chris Ellison, Jim Evans, Stags Chat, Otley Staggs, Simon Wilson, Danny Warsop, Paul Brewman, Roger King, Stephen Pound, Ashley Mutter, JS, me, Kiwi Stags, David C, Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts Fame, Marie Wilson, Oliver Wilson, Ben Swain, the PPG, Star Astronic, and proud Stags. You are outside the top 10, but who's made it to the top 10? In at 10, it's Keeley of Her Game 2 fame. Fathead, the reigning champion, in at 9 with 216. 221 in 8th. In joint 7th, is Dan Bauer and Ian Brown. Kathy Holmes in 6th with 225. Will Pound, 10 points ahead on 235 in 5th. Alan Wilson is in 4th with 244. Clive Parkin is in 3rd with 247. Steve Naden is in 2nd with 250. Meaning the leader of the pack is Darren Wood with 274.
Oh,
Well,
He's fantastic.
I am going to post the full table after the Crawley game at the end of the month. I will be posting the full table. We've got 2 games to predict. Now, Emily, I noticed I didn't read your name out in there.
No,
So I might have to boot you off the podcast anyway.
I don't predict. I try not to predict things. I don't like to tempt fate.
As the guest person on here, we'll give you an honorary prediction. And let's just see whether you get it. First of all, let's start off with the Cambridge game. What are you going to go for the Cambridge game? Will Mansfield win, lose, or draw?
Win.
What will be the score?
2-0.
And who would you pick to be your fantasy captain to make sure you don't score 0 points?
Well, these aren't my predictions. I asked my son to do these for me because I knew you were going to ask me about this. So I asked my son to do it. So he's put Bowery as his hero because Bowery is his hero.
Fair play. Right, let's get into it. Alan, your one for Cambridge, please.
Mansfield 2-1 win. Evans.
Clive.
Mansfield 3-0 win. Lucas Akins.
Mansfield 4-1 win.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh.
Aaron Lewis. And for Crawley, I'm going to go Mansfield 6-0 win. I'm going to go.
This is tempting fate, Emily.
I'm going to
Shades of Clive Parkin there.
go.
Well, yeah.
Clive. Crawley, please.
A squeaky 2-1 win. Aaron Lewis.
And Alan.
3-1 win. Bailey Cargill.
Emily finishes off then with Crawley. What will be your prediction for that one? What's your son's prediction? What's your son's?
It's 4-0.
Oh, no.
Is his prediction. Yeah. It's not what I would have said.
Barry's going to get a hat trick.
Yeah. 4-0. Evans.
Fair play.
Right.
What's your son's name?
Rowan.
Rowan's predictions. If you think Rowan's right, play along with podcast predictions because even if you've not played the game, you could still end up winning because that's the crazy point system that we've got. The link that you need is in the description. And a reminder, you must submit your answers or your guesses no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff on Saturday afternoon, which of course is a 12:30 kickoff. I didn't realise. There's Libby the dog.
Is she home?
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best player of the season this season.
I want to find who that man is. If you know,
Still not found him.
if you know who that guy is, let us know. We really want to know. Keep your comments and your questions coming in. Simon's asked this: what was the chosen name for the bear? It's got to be Dave. Now, this is interesting. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the Stag's Blue Bear, which Clive, Alan, Nick, and the rest of the gang got me for part of my birthday presents last week on the show. I said we'd put the vote out to you guys. Now, it was a close call. The options were Dave, Uncle Stephen, Jordan Beckham-Beery, and
Oh my God.
in honour of Andy Garner. It was a close run thing. There were 2 possible results for this. Dave or Jordan Beckham-Beery. I can tell you that with 59% of the votes compared to the 41% for the second, let me introduce you, please, to Jordan Beckham-Beery.
Oh, my word.
now known as Jordan Beckenberry. I think Nick went with that one. So
Yeah.
right, Emily, obviously you are I'm not going to say a fan of the podcast. We're not fans of the podcast. You're a listener of the podcast.
Sufferer.
Sufferer. Let's go sufferer.
Sufferer of the podcast.
So we're an hour and 7 minutes in. So what comes next?
Content loading. Selecting game. Game selected. Players stand by.
System malfunction. The other seat.
Are you really disappointed now, Emily, that you're not going to get to play what's in Craig's bucket?
You can play along.
I can play along, but Craig says I'm not allowed to, so I'll turn off my video.
You are definitely allowed to play along. Clive, taking you with the quiz.
Are you playing for me then, Craig?
I am going to play for you. Emily, you get a choice of who you'd like to play for. You've got Nick, you've got Jim, you've got Cam, and you've got Nathan. So who would you like to play for out of those options?
Well, they're not going to want me to play for them, are they? But
No,
I'll be with Nick.
That's part of the fun.
I'm going to talk to the most about his shirts.
Okay. So you're playing for Nick's points. I'm playing for Clive's points. Alan, you're playing for your points.
Yeah.
And no one else is here. So that's how it works. So Clive, it's over to you.
Okay.
Please, how it works.
Well, it's a quickie. There's only 5 answers I require. So that means there's only 5 questions. But the questions are in groups of 5. So these are Stags players, either past or present. I'll give you 5 clues. If you think you know the answer after the first clue, tell me to stop. Give me your answer. If you're right, you get 5 points. If you're wrong, you're out the game at that point. You're out of that question.
Like it.
So you might want to hold back and see if your second answer confirms it. If you don't know, you don't know. I'm going to make it slightly easier. I'm going to tell you whether they are present players or past players. So the first one is a past player. And clue 1 is I was born in Sunderland in 1997.
Now, one more, please.
I have played for clubs in England, Scotland, and Wales.
Yes.
Emily.
Is it DKD?
I'll give you the other clues and see if you think you got it right. I recently changed clubs for an undisclosed fee.
I've got it. I know who it is.
I made 75 appearances for the Stags. My middle names are James Marshall. So the answer is Davis, James Marshall, Keeler Dunn.
Yay.
Well done.
Emily.
You get 3. So what was that? 4 points.
She gets 4 points.
Are you right? Points.
Ooh.
Points down, Clive.
Yep.
Excellent. I don't have to do that. Right. Brilliant. So Emily's got 4 points so far.
Well, it means the rest of you getting on.
Correct.
So moving on to question 2, then you now know how it works. This is a past player. I'm known by my middle name. My first name is Simon. I have played for a number of clubs, including Scunthorpe, Colwyn Bay, Leyton Orient, and Port Vale. I was born in Leek, Staffordshire, in 1975. This is for 2 points now. I played 218 games for the Stags. And for 1 point, I am 5'10" tall and played predominantly in midfield.
I'll have a guess. I don't know, but I'll have a guess.
Okay, this is for 1 point.
I would.
Simon Island?
Nope.
Simon Brown.
Nope. Emily, say Wayne Corden.
No!
Wayne Corden.
Nobody gets any points there.
Wow.
Okay, slightly easier this one, I think. Present player. I was born in 1989 in Huddersfield.
What is it?
I am 6'1" tall.
Me.
Emily.
Bowery.
Wrong, you're out the game.
No, yeah, because he's from...
I have 4 international caps. My previous clubs include Hamilton Academical, Northwich Victoria, and Tranmere Rovers. And for 1 point, I've been played as a striker, as a winger, and in recent times as a defender.
Callum MacDonald.
Nope. Craig?
Lucas Akins.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, well
Yeah.
done.
When I heard Hamilton Academic, I was like, it's like Akins. Yeah.
Question 4 of 5. This is a past player. These are recent time past players. There's no historical ones in there.
You got to define recent times, because.
Well, in the last decade.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, go on then.
I was born in Stockton in 1981. I have played for lots of clubs apart from my time at the Stags. My wife appeared on the TV programme The Apprentice.
Got it.
Go on.
To be fair, I had got it before you said the wife one, but I'll take the less points. The answer is Neil Bishop.
Neil Bishop gets you 3 points, Craig. So the
Thank
scores at the moment are Craig's got 4, Emily's got 4. Alan, you've got to win this one.
What? I ain't got any.
On the
You've
first,
got 1 chance left. Question 5. I was born in 1981 in Retford. I am known as a winger.
hang on, is this past or
Is this
present?
past or present?
Past, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Can we just have the clues again, please?
Well, I
Sorry.
just say if you're born in 1981, you're likely to be a past player, aren't you?
Yeah.
Come on.
Then you never know with
Question.
Mansfield.
First
You're
clue was
born in Retford.
I was born in 1981 in Retford. I am known as a winger. 3 points. I have played 15 times for my country.
I'll have a go.
Go on then.
Liam Lawrence.
Correct. The remaining clues
Right.
were I have played 499 first team club games in my career. 136 of those were at the Stags, and I retired from the game in 2017. And during that year, I played for Bristol Rovers and Rushall Olympic.
Yeah.
Well done, Craig's won.
Man,
Right.
I've won a quiz.
You have. You got.
No
Well, I have.
way.
I have. You're answering for me.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 7 points to Craig, 4 to Emily, and Alan. You got a big fat 0.
Yeah, I prefer Craig's quizzes.
Yay!
I used to
I
like
hope
it.
I've done
I
next
used to like
round.
it a lot, you know. Well done, Craig. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Put me
well
on the
done.
board.
Well done, Clyde. I'll do it right now for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, there it is. It's on the board for you, Clive. You've now.
Can I just say that it might not have been the best quiz in the world, but it's long enough, Craig. Learn from it.
Yes.
Shut up.
I did a whole physio session while you did the Christmas.
I've had a holiday. I've had a cruise holiday while Craig's been doing a quiz.
Christmas. It was bound to be long at Christmas. That was the whole bit. Oh,
It ran from one Christmas to the next.
you know what? I can do what I do to Cam if you carry on, Emily. This is a warning. So Clive has got 7 points thanks to me. Alan's got 7 points. Jim's got 2. Cam's got 5. Nathan's got 2, despite appearing on one episode of the podcast this series. And Nick is still out in front on 11 points. We'll find who gets more points in the quiz games as the
He
week.
didn't get any today, though, did he?
He did not. I have to say though, Clive, a jolly good quiz, and I would like more of those in the future, please. That was an excellent
I
quiz.
like that. It's good.
Very good quiz.
Very good. Well done.
Even though I didn't get any.
We will see
The
what.
wonders of Wikipedia.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We will see what the random game generator throws up for us on next week's podcast when we'll be looking back on 2 games. That's almost all we've got time for tonight. However, what we usually do with people that come on the show at the very start is get them to tell us a little bit more about their Stags journey. We didn't really do that at the start with you, Emily. So tell us a little bit more about your background. Who was your idol growing up? What was your first game? All of that sort of stuff. Give us a potted history of Emily and Mansfield Town.
I don't think I actually remember my first game. We used to come to games when there was no one there and there were no seats and you just stood up next to those barriers. And I remember coming over when I was about 21 and we got me in for an under 14. I must have looked really young. And we went to the playoff finals in 2004. That was probably my biggest memory of following the Stags because, and you'll hate me now, as a kid, I followed Nottingham Forest. So I did follow Stags as well, but Nottingham Forest were my kind of...
No, can't do it. Absolutely can't do it. No.
Never darken our doors again.
I'm fully fine, lads. I'm not going to lie. I can still see her talking away. I can see everyone backstage. She's just talking away. Kicked her off. Oh, I'll let
Bring her back.
No, but
Have you been to wash your mouth out?
yeah, with a bit of soap and water, Clive. But no, that was when I was a teenager, you know, led in the wrong direction.
We do a lot of
Stags.
That's very, very true. But you have redeemed yourself because you've got kids now,
I have.
and they're all Stags fans.
Yeah, both Stag fans. I've only got two. And my eldest is a absolutely raging Stags fan. He absolutely loves it. My youngest doesn't really like football that much, so it's more difficult to get him into it. But he has been to a game. He has been to one game, and he wore headphones because he found it a bit noisy, but he did enjoy it.
Get him a mascot package. That'll convert.
Well, the eldest was a mascot on New Year's Day, and he came out with Gregory, and we won.
Sounds like an infection, doesn't it?
And then last year, guess what game he was? You've got to guess what game he was a mascot for because
This is a quiz.
Good luck.
Got to be Harrogate.
Yeah.
Hey,
He was the mascot for Harrogate.
10 points.
I think Mansfield Matters should sponsor him as mascot at some point. Get him on the game. Get another 9 tour.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So he's the mascot, and then we win 9-2. What could be better? So I would say that Rowan's more of a Puritan when it comes to Stag supporting. But I don't have any Nottingham Forest shirts. I only have Stags stuff.
Jolly good. Favourite Mansfield Town player of all time? If you were to pick one,
Macca, just absolutely love him. I love the goals that he scores. They're just these curling goals. I just love him. Just absolutely love him. I think he's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you coming to join us today in absence of Nick, who's currently sunning himself on a beach somewhere, and Camus, what time is it? Yeah, oh yeah, it's Hollyoaks time, isn't it? So if you want to come and join us, do let us know. And also, like I said before, we need to hunt down this guy.
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best player of the season this season.
If you know that,
Have you noticed he's trying to grow a beard like mine?
It's obviously, so he loves Dave. Growing your beard.
I think I've got an acolyte.
If you know who that is, get in touch with us, let us know, because we want to get them on the podcast. And if you fancy your chances of being on the podcast and you think you can do better than Nick or Cam or Jim or whoever, let us know, because we're always looking for guests to come on and share their views on all things Mansfield Town.
And as you've seen, we don't bully anybody. We don't embarrass anybody except ourselves.
No, absolutely not. And we
Only
just
a little bit. I'm joking.
Straight into quizzes and features which you're gonna be thinking about for the rest of the night and absolutely hating and never want to come on and do again.
And your responsibility leaving here tonight, Emily, is for every game going forward, you infect everybody around you on the terraces with Dave.
Dave.
Oh yeah, I've been doing it with my season ticket. I sit behind the Jolly Boys. So I've been.
If you hear anybody use the word "degy," correct them.
Yeah,
It's Dave.
I will. I keep going. Go on, Dave. Whenever he clears the ball, I'm like, go on, Dave.
We'll have to get Cluffy using it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that would definitely pay good money to see. Emily, we'll give you the final word tonight. What's your hopes and ambitions for the rest of the season? What have you made of the season so far, etc., etc.? This is your moment to shine. And I promise I'm not going to kick you out like I kicked Cam, because I've already done it, so that joke's old.
Well, I think we're doing brilliantly. And as we all know, we would have snap the arm off anybody who'd said we would be where we are at this point in the season. So I'm really happy with it. I've really enjoyed it, and the highs and the lows. I think we could make playoffs, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's the right time. Let's just enjoy this league and get really solid in this league, and then we can think about championship if it ever arises. But that's not my ambition. My ambition is to stay in this league and do really well and enjoy every game.
I think she's definitely passed the test. Thanks so much for coming on and joining us. And my thanks to you guys at home as well, too. That is all we've got time for tonight. We may well have been left wondering how we didn't get anything from the Wycombe game, but we move on swiftly as the Stags face a trip to Cambridge on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff because it's on Sky Sports Plus, and then a home game on Tuesday night, return of Will Swan and Crawley Town. Two tough games against two teams scrapping at the wrong end of the table, but can the Stags come through with 3 points in each of those games? Join us on the podcast next week to find out. Follow us on all things social media to find out when we're going to be live, probably Thursday at 7:30. And don't forget to get involved in podcast predictions. The link that you need is in the description. You must do it no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kick-off on those respective games. From me, Emily, Clive and Alan, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Goodbye and...
Oh my God.